So this is February 25th, 2023. And for many years, actually, when I think about death, which lately I think about on a daily basis, being age 74 and realizing that I don't have too many more years left in this life. Anyhow, when I would think about death, I would say to myself, one of the things I would say to myself was, I regret that I'm going to die because I won't have the benefit of seeing the technological changes that are sure to occur over the next many years subsequent to my passing. I often had reflected in the past upon my grandparents and thought about, wow, what changes they saw, between the, end of the 1800s and the time that they lived the major part of their life in the early half of the 20th century. But then I realized, having been born in 1948, I've seen some incredible changes. One of the ones that comes to mind, of course, is when I was in graduate school and we would be doing research. In order to do multivariate analysis or whatever statistical analysis, we would have to use punch cards, and we'd have a stack of cards, that big, that we would be needing to take down to the computer, which was a machine that encompassed an entire building. And now in the palm of my hand, I can hold a smartphone that has comparable kinds of capabilities. Anyhow, I'm getting off on a tangent, and that is to say that one of the things I became interested in, I guess back in 2017, was the concept of a Bitcoin. And this may or may not be something y'all are familiar with, but using another recent piece of technology, I asked ChatGPT, for the sake of this video, to tell us what is Bitcoin. I said, give a succinct history of Bitcoin and explain what it is, just in a nutshell for anybody who hasn't heard of it. And it said that Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency created in 2009 by an unknown person or group using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. The idea behind Bitcoin was to create a decentralized peer-to-peer payment system that operates without the need for a central authority or intermediary. Bitcoin uses a technology called blockchain, which is a distributed ledger that records all transactions made on the network. This ledger is maintained by a network of nodes around the world, making it virtually impossible to manipulate or hack the system. In summary, it characterized a few other features, and it said, in summary, Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency that operates on a peer-to-peer network without the need for a central authority or intermediary. It uses a technology called blockchain to record all transactions and has a limited supply of 21 million coins. Now, the reason I mention this is that the notion of a blockchain is basically like a ledger, and this ledger records transactions. And typically in the past, up till now, these transactions have been transfers of value, if you will, transfers of amounts of Bitcoin from one individual to another. My point is, this ledger, again, has traditionally recorded transactions, but lately there has been a new development where on the ledger you can actually inscribe either text or a picture. Now, the way this works, as I understand it, is every Bitcoin is made up of 100 million what are called satoshis. It's like the comparison between a dollar and pennies or cents. So one of these satoshis is obviously quite small, but on a given satoshi, it's possible now to inscribe what's called an ordinal, again, which is either a piece of text or a picture. And that's pretty amazing. And it's, at least for now, kind of a fad or getting to be popular. So me being the kind of, technical person that I am, not necessarily in terms of coding or understanding these kinds of things at a hyper-technical level, but, being willing to try different technologies like, ChatGPT or whatever, is I went in, and this is the point of the video, I went in and I inscribed two things. onto the Bitcoin blockchain. Okay. One was Namu, Amida, Butsu with an exclamation point. Okay. And the other one was something you'll perhaps many of you recognize as being the mantra at the end of the Heart Sutra is Gate, Gate, Para Samgate, Bodhisvaha, exclamation point. So these two inscriptions now, these two ordinals, if you will, are now on the Bitcoin blockchain. And so they are basically characterized with these attributes. They are durable, immutable, secure, and decentralized. Now, I know, and I heard recently on a podcast, it was from the San Francisco Zen Center, which I love their podcasts, that, and I've heard this before, that one time Suzuki Roshi, who really was a key figure in promulgating Zen Buddhism, particularly Soto Zen Buddhism in the United States, and which has flourished, as a result of his leadership. Somebody once asked him something to the effect, can you tell us what Buddhism is in a phrase or in a sentence? Just one phrase. What's a succinct definition of Buddhism? And he said, everything changes. Now, I have accepted that as a basic premise, and I think it's one of the three principles within Buddhism. One of the fundamental principles are, impermanence, non-self, and suffering, I think, are the three. And I have always accepted the idea of impermanence and that everything changes. And undoubtedly, at some point, Bitcoin and the blockchain will change. But potentially, it's not going to be for a long, long time. So in this immutable blockchain now, and again, it's immutable because there are many, many blocks. The block that these inscriptions are on is a past block. There are now new blocks. There's a new block every 10 minutes. And it's very, very hard, if not impossible, for anybody, any single person to modify that or alter it, because it exists on thousands of nodes all around the world. But anyway, like I say, eventually it may change, but that may be a long, long time from now. If you're interested, by the way, these 21 million Bitcoin that ultimately will exist, they are obtained by so-called miners who kind of protect the overall system, and they get a reward for solving computational problems. And the rewards are issued, I think every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes there's a new block. But eventually the rewards, the Bitcoin that are given as rewards, which now I think are like 6 or so every 6.5, maybe every 10 minutes, they get halved every 4 years. So in 2024, there will only be three and some fraction of a Bitcoin for a reward every 10 minutes. And eventually, I think in 2140, all the Bitcoin will be distributed, at which point the miners will have to rely on fees, transaction fees for their services in protecting the network. So anyway, that's my little spiel on Bitcoin ordinals. But what I'd like to do is close with a version of the Heart Sutra that I think I put together as a result of, sort of integrating different translations. And I shared this one in a little meditation group that I started at one time here locally, and I called it the Mushu Yuha Buddhist Alliance, Mushu Yuha being non-sectarian. And I put this together in 2013. So I'll close with this version of the Heart Sutra, which I believe I've recited in another video, perhaps under that name, and that hopefully is something that you will appreciate. The infinitely compassionate Guanyin Bodhisattva, practicing the profound Prajnaparamita, investigated and perceived that all traits of living beings are empty of permanent nature, thus securing deliverance from suffering and distress. Then, influenced by the Buddha, who was concentrating deeply on countless aspects of phenomena, the Venerable Shariputra asked the great fearless Bodhisattva, "If a son or daughter of the Buddha's lineage wishes to practice the profound Prajnaparamita, how should he or she be instructed?" "O Shariputra, such a one must first abandon all ideas of ego-selfness. Let him or her think thus: form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. That which is form is emptiness. That which is emptiness is form. The same is true of feelings, perceptions, impulses, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all phenomena are marked with emptiness, without inherent essence. They do not arise or cease, are not tainted or pure. There is no increase or decrease, no completeness nor deficiency. Therefore, given emptiness, no form, no feelings, no perception, no impulses, no consciousness, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no color, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object of mind, no realm of sight, and so forth until no realm of the conceptual faculty, no ignorance and also no extinction of it, and so forth until no decay and death, and also no extinction of them, no suffering, no origination or stopping of suffering, and no path to bring about the end of suffering, no wisdom and also no gain. Because of gainlessness, bodhisattvas who rely on Prajnaparamita have no hindrance in their hearts. Since they have no hindrance, they have no fear. They have passed beyond all confused imagination, are free from contrary and delusive ideas, and dwell in the final nirvana. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future attain unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment by relying on Prajnaparamita. Therefore, we know that Prajnaparamita is the great transcendent spiritual mantra, the mysterious illuminating mantra, the utmost supreme mantra, the unequaled, unsurpassed mantra, able to cut through all vexation and truly relieve all suffering without fail, because in reality there is also no emptiness. Guan Yin Bodhisattva then uttered the Prajnaparamita mantra, proclaiming thus: Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisvaha. Gone, gone, gone beyond, gone altogether beyond. Oh, what awakening! All hail! Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisvaha. Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu.